Welcome, Russell Spitzer.
Howdy.
So, open source at Snowflake and Apache Iceberg PMC. Awesome stuff. Tell us a little bit about your background. You know, you've been doing Iceberg all the way back since Apple days when it first got started. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, the Apple story is kind of interesting because I had been working before that at a company called DataStax, where we basically did Apache Cassandra, open source software, and one of the things that I did mostly was the integration between Cassandra and various analytics systems. So that started out, I was doing work on like Apache Pig, Apache Hadoop MR, right, with Cassandra. And then this technology called Spark got announced, and Piotr, one of my coworkers, sorry to tap the microphone, but he went and was like, oh, this is a really interesting technology, and he brought it back to all of us who are looking at stuff. And very early, I got involved then with connecting Spark to Cassandra and making sure that we had a solid integration there and getting involved with the ecosystem. So I worked on that for a real long time, and then when I decided to make a change, a lot of people at DataStax were going to Apple because Apple has a lot of Cassandra. I applied to the Spark team at Apple, and I got shifted during my interview because they were like, you know what? We'd really like to have someone working on this Iceberg project because we think it's going to be important. We're beginning to get all these production use cases internally. And I just said yes, and that was it.
Awesome.
At the time, everything was very new and very getting put together, and it was just very exciting to be a part of another project, and I didn't really have too much other thoughts about it.
You did your talk yesterday, what Apache Iceberg is bad at for now. What are the current limitations you're most focused on fixing?
Yeah, I mean, the things I'm most excited about fixing in Apache Iceberg, the things I want to improve the most, is right now we're generally a pretty maintenance-intensive layout. And one of the biggest changes that we're working on right now is something that is actually a collaboration between a lot of the engineers at Snowflake, a lot of the engineers at Databricks, and a lot of engineers at Amazon, Google, all of the other places. We're all coming together because we've realized that this is a burden we don't really want to have to deal with. And there's a proposal called either single file commits or adaptive metadata trees. We've kind of taken two independent proposals, merged them together because they were already so closely aligned. Yep. And hopefully the end result of all of this is not only do we ease maintenance burdens for Iceberg, because we basically are going to reduce the amount of metadata compaction that's required and improve the cacheability of manifests and other things inside of the Iceberg metadata layer, but we'll do so in a way that's incrementally improving on what we are currently doing in Iceberg. It's not going to be such a dramatic departure that engines will have to completely rethink how they're doing everything, which is one of our key focuses here, is we want to make sure we don't essentially internally fork ourselves, right? And make it so that engines have to struggle to do the next version of Iceberg. I mean, that's a strong motivation in the community, right? We want interoperability, and that means not asking everybody tomorrow to, oh wait, sorry, you have to rewrite your entire engine stack if you want to be compatible.
Gotcha, yeah, makes a lot of sense. What's the type of problems that it's solving, this bit of work?
So like I said, the deal with metadata is one of the biggest, and it's also aiming at, if we're going to talk concretely about use cases, I like focusing on the technical aspects, but the use cases we're actually looking at here are streaming and AI-based things, right? Okay. So obviously everyone is aware of the changes in the industry and what people are looking at.
Yep.
And one thing we see is people want to commit really quickly to their Iceberg tables. And the current way that the metadata is structured makes that a little more difficult, because I think when we had it in mind, when it was originally being designed and we were optimizing for things, we're like, we've got these 10 petabyte tables, we're going to write to them every hour, and every time they write, they're going to add another 100 gigabytes or something.
Yep.
And what we realized is there were a lot of people who were like, this model, these APIs, this interoperability is exciting, and I really want to have this on my tiny tables at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where we're beginning to be like, okay, so maybe we do have to cut our latency there. We have to make it more amenable to point updates, things like that. So we have a lot of different things we're working on to make that better.
And tell us a little bit about perhaps like the data warehousing story and use cases. Do you see a time where people will be just operating their data warehouses out of Iceberg as well as a result of this work.
I mean, that's my hope. I really hope we can get to a spot where you don't have to make a choice at this layer.
Yep.
And I think as a community we can probably make that happen because we're very open. We're totally willing to take other projects' ideas or things that they've done that have made them successful and incorporate that in. Because our goal is not that we've done everything right in Iceberg and everyone should do what we want. We want to make Iceberg as right as we can for as many use cases as possible and make sure everyone is welcome to use it.
That's a fantastic outlook. And what's been the most surprising aspect of Iceberg's adoption?
That had happened at all for me. I mean, so I've been a part now of two rather large tech waves. So like I joined DataStax when Cassandra was also not very out there, and then it went through a huge upswing and then kind of plateaued out. And then, I switched to another company. I work on another project which is not really used in that many places, it's just nascent, and again, shot up. And like I don't know if I'll be able to experience that a third time, so I'm trying to enjoy it while it's happening. But that's my biggest surprise, is that we've had as much success as we've had.
Yeah. The Databricks acquisition of Tabula surprised many. You've said spending that much to contribute to an open source project is a decision. How do you see vendor dynamics shaping Iceberg's future?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we have to keep being pretty vigilant about what people are trying to contribute, making sure that interoperability again is first and foremost. And I really think this is important because I don't see an Iceberg being a useful format if everyone can't read and write it. Like that's what I'm so excited about now is when you go to like vendor conferences, everyone just has Iceberg logos on everything. Every vendor, every startup is like, we're compatible with that data store you already got.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that. I think that's the most valuable thing about Iceberg. I think people sometimes overvalue like technically optimizing for a specific thing when really just being able to work with your data is all that people need as step one. And like getting a better 20% on a specific use case, that's a later question, right? Getting everything working first is the most important thing.
And that you've got, for sure. And so you've got a background in bioinformatics. You did your PhD in that. What drew you from biology to data infrastructure finally?
See, this is another one that's kind of like mundane, and I don't have a super fun story, but basically I was at UCSF, West Coast, and all the people who were doing the kind of research I was doing in biophysics and bioinformatics were on the East Coast. I didn't want to move. And the thing that I was enjoying doing when we were doing all this research is working with like real nascent distributed computing systems. So for all of you out there who use the Sun Grid engine, I'm one of you. And I thought that these were like really cool ideas, and I saw Hadoop and MapReduce paper come out, and I'm like, I want to get involved in that. So I just spent all of my time when I finished my thesis like talking to every single distributed computing company I could get my hands on. No one wanted to talk to me at all. They were like, this is a biology PhD. I mean, sure, it's like computational biology, but I think they were just like, whatever. But DataStax gave me a shot, and it's been all uphill since then, downhill. I don't know, it's all been great.
All right.
The good one.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time,
Thank
Russell.
you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Cheers.
All right.